Alright, so 3 months ago, I couldn't even build my own API, but now I can just build any API that I want to build. So let me set the prerequisites for this video. Okay, the only thing you need to be knowing before watching this video is JavaScript and basically Node.js or maybe a little bit of Express. You don't need to know everything. And another thing I want to set straight is if your brain needs to be stimulated using 1000 transitions, changing camera angle from here to there, that's the only time you're going to pay attention. You shouldn't be coding in the first place because that means you are not ready to take in information. And this coding industry is all about taking information. The more information you can store here, that's what will set you apart. So boom, enough yapping, let's get straight into it. So what are we doing in this video? Today we're just building a scalable API. We're not building it from scratch. If you want to watch the full video, you can watch it. It's like 1 hour something, 1 hour and 30 minutes building the API from scratch. But today we're just going to explain our thought process on why did we choose to do something, how did we do it, and how did it help us, and why do we have random files like controllers, why do we have lib or lib folder, why do we have routes and all that stuff. You get, I'll explain it to you, but I need your full attention. Y'all gotta lock in. Okay, so let's start from Express. You can see import Express from Express. That's our first thing. Obviously we're using Express as our framework. Okay, then you can see we have calls. This course is just cross-origin support. Okay, this is what is going to allow us to communicate with the front end just in case we add front end later, but it's not gonna come in handy right now. Okay, then the next thing is we just gotta initialize the app to accept using, to allow us to use Express. And then this is just for calls for the calls. Okay, this is a middleware for allowing us to use calls, and then this is also a middleware to allow us to pass JSON. So I'll explain to you as we keep going. As you can see, this is just a test API route, and then these extra routes here, this is just for us to use this API. This is an endpoint. We are using it inside these orders. As you can see, we have everything separated into different folders, and this is a very clean API endpoint. Okay, we have orders as the endpoint here. You can see get orders. We have another get order by ID. We have post. This is to create an order, and this is to update an order using its ID. This is to delete an order using its ID. And then as you can see, boom, here we are just using this order routes, which is the same as this order routes. So we're using this router from Express to just we just export this router and then we use it inside here. As you can see, that's all we need. And then this is just for the port. Okay, obviously you can set it inside the .env, and I'm going to explain this. This is just a port for our application, and then this is just environment variables for PostgreSQL using our Docker compose. So we're using this Postgres user as the name, and then this password is just the most important one, and then also this is db whatever, and then this is just to map the port on the PostgreSQL, the one we have, and then inside the one that's local in our device. This is the one that is on the Docker Hub that we are pulling as the image. So let's keep going. Now this is where we are listening to this port on this. So it's just going to say app running on localhost, whatever that we put here on inside the .env. And if we don't have anything inside the .env, it will go ahead and run this. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and run this application with burn dev, since we are using burn obviously. Here I'm just going to say docker compose, then I'm just going to say docker compose up in detach mode. Now if I don't do that, if I just come here and just click this, you will see API is running, right? API is healthy. That is the one that we set in here. API is healthy. This is just a health check, okay, for you to check the health of your API. That's where it's not always a must to put it, but it just comes in handy. So it shows you that your API is running. Okay, now let's just go ahead and say docker compose up. That will pull the Postgres image that we set here inside the Docker compose. If you want to learn more about Docker, just go to YouTube and learn. All right, let's go back here. Now let's try to test our endpoints. Let's go to getting orders. If we click get orders, as you can see, to return okay. And then if we go to get order by ID, it will also return okay because we are testing this. Let me just go back to orders. If I click this, you will see it's giving us two orders inside this orders array. So if I if I select the first one, which is with the name chicken, then I go back to the one for the ID and I just click this, it will give me the one for the chicken, the fried chicken, the fast food and all that. It will give me just the one with that ID that we looked up for. And then if you go to the create order, if I just come here and put this like create order this and add just random numbers, and then we send, it will give us 201. You can also learn the different status codes like the 201, the 404. I think you guys know 404 not found. There's also 403 unauthorized, no, admin only. Then there's 401, which is unauthorized route. There's also a lot, you know. There's 200, there is all that. There's 500, which is internal server error. You can do research, more research on status codes. It's always good to know them. Then you can see delete. If we just come here and let me just get all the orders so we can just delete the latest one. Let's go to this one, the one with the random numbers. Let's go and then we just select this and click delete. So it will return 200 and then we would have deleted it. If we go back to orders and then just send this, you see we have only two, and then we can also just update a specific one. Let me say I want to change this updated pizza to something like updated chicken or maybe any name. Let's go to update and let's just select this, and I'm just gonna come here and just say updated chicken with the with uppercase, and then I just click. You'll see we have order updated successfully, and then the count is 1. If I go back now to get orders, if I click this, you will see that is it. So I think that is, bro, is just excuse me for that noise in my back. Okay, that I'm just saying it up front. Okay, I'm just in a noisy environment, but you guys get the point. So let me just go to the controller. This is where all the magic is happening. Now before we go to the controller, I want to explain the schema. As you can see, this is something simple. We have ID on the schema, we have the name, we have description and category. So these are the three things that I have inside the schema, and also we have created that and then updated that. This is how you define the schema inside Prisma. If you're using Drizzle, there's also a way of defining the data models or maybe your own schema. So these are the ways that you can interact with your database, okay, with your order service in your database. So now let's say we want to get all orders like the one I explained to you inside the Postman. I mean the one I showed you guys in the Postman. Is it Postman or Postman, whatever? Now you see we are importing this Prisma from the lib folder, which is this Prisma. So this is a Prisma client that allows us to interact with our database. Now that's a Prisma client, and then you can see we have order controllers. Now this is the controller that is combining all these controllers inside it. Okay, this is like an object that allows us to have different methods. It could be methods or whatever, you get the point, inside the same exact controller. So everything is organized inside the controller. Now why is it scalable? Let's say later you want to add like product, you want to add product.controller something like that, .ts or .js. You can just create the product controller here. Let's say, oh, I want to now create authentication controller. You can just say auth.controller.ts or ts, and then you can have your auth controller like that. And then that is, everything is very scalable. You have separation of concerns. The business logic is all inside the controllers, and then the routes are all inside the routes, and then you have the main entry point for the entire application is clean and smooth, and everything is routed here. Now as you can see, a scalable API can always have the API. It always starts with API. It has a specific version, and it has orders. You use this as orders. You don't say API/v1/order. No, you say orders. It depends on you, but it's always good to use it like this. It's a best practice. Now let's say later we need to add a middleware like authentication middleware to check, or maybe to check if this is an auth route. We can just say auth route, something like this, and then we just need to create this auth route here. And then before we add anything in our database, before we update or delete or create an order, we need to be authenticated. Then this middleware is what will determine that. Okay, the middleware will first check when we send a post request or any request to this API/v1/orders. It will first go through the middleware, and then it will check inside the middleware, oh, does this user have, is this user authenticated user, and does this user have the specific role to create this? Is this an admin route? This is all that you will put, and then you will come inside the SRC and then create something like middleware, something like that. And then inside the middleware you can have like auth.ts, something like this, and then you can just go ahead and check for everything that you need. Now the best route could just be like, you could have something like export you could have something like export const, and then you can have auth middleware, something like this. Auth middleware is equals to, you can have something like this, and then something like that. And then inside here, this is where you can just get things like this. Let's say you can get something like type. You can say import. You can say something like import type, and then you're getting the type. Oh my god, I can't even tell. Type, and we are taking this type from Express. And then inside here you're taking the request, and then you're also taking the response, and then you're going to take the next option. Okay, I mean next function. Then here you can have request, and then the type will be request, and you can have response, the type will be response, and then you can have the next, and then the type will be the next option, the next function rather. Why do I always say option? Something like that. And then you can have your try catch. Then you can check if the user exists. You can say check if user exists, and then do something. If user exists, then do something, and then if that is okay, then check if they have permission. Just check for, you can say for permission, check for permission, and then here you can just log the error. You just log, you can say console error, and then just error, and then you can log the error. You can log the error, and then now after checking everything is okay, then you come and say next. Go ahead and give us the next function. Now this is checking if the user exists. Will be you can say const request user or something. You can say something like user is equals to await, something like that. Then you can go ahead and check for the user, and then you can send a response. Say here response dot status can just be like 403. This is for this can be for the admin. You can just say admin route only, and then here you can say, hey, response dot status code of, you can say, oh, user doesn't exist, so you can say 404. Here you can say user does not exist, user does not exist. And then after that, you can, after you find the user, you can just go ahead and say response dot status. Let's say that the specific user is unauthenticated or something. You can just say 401, and then you can have unauthorized, something like that. This is everything that you can do inside the middleware. And then this next function will just proceed to the next request, to the next thing in the request. Now after that, this is the next request that will now tell the user that, hey, will tell the API that, hey, go ahead and just since we exported, let me just go inside the middleware. This is the auth thing. We are using this auth middleware. Let me just go here and just replace this. Then we can just go ahead and import this here. As you can see, this middleware is going to run before this. So that is it for the middleware. I'm just giving you examples though. There are a lot of things you can do with the middleware. You can do a bunch of stuff. You can do rate limiting. You can do anything, but inside the middleware, it depends on you. You can have even here, you can inside the middleware, you can say run the rate limit. You can have here rate limiting .ts or rate limit.ts, and then you can have your rate limit. Any algorithm that you're using there will also be called before the request. So that is everything you're going to be doing, and then this is all that you're going to need to create a very scalable REST API. Now here is where the magic happens. I mean the routing happens. You can even include this same thing that I added here, this middleware. You can even let's say you don't want this middleware to run in between public routes. Let's say you want everyone to be able to view the orders, and you want everyone to be able to select orders by ID. I feel like the only public route can be this one. So let me just say this is the only public route. This is the only public route. Okay, let's say this is the only public route that you want to use. So this will be the only one without it, and then you can come here, and rather than putting this auth middleware right here, I'm just gonna remove it like from here, and I can also cut this from here and leave this as it is, or as is, and then you just come and put it here. Let's say I want only the authenticated users to be able to be able to post or create orders. You can have it there. You can also have a middleware also between only authenticated users should be able to update our order. Also, only authenticated users should be able to delete our orders, and then only authenticated users should be able to get the order by ID, something like that. You get it? You can be as granular as you can get with the way you design your API routes. So this is how we are where we're going to stop with the middleware, and then we can continue now going here. Another thing you need to be aware of is logging the errors. You can easily have your error handling. You can have a folder for error handling, or you can even just use the error handling just here and then handle everything here, because Express in the new version 5, Express will just automatically just pass you to the next error rather than having random try catch inside everything that you are writing. But if you are not inside, it's only going to apply inside this index.ts. But if you're inside something like orders or maybe controllers, it's always good to have a try catch. Yeah, you can have it or not. It depends. In the next, in the new updated version of v5, I don't know, it's optional, but it depends on you. You can do more research on that. So let's now go to getting orders. Now this is getting orders. This is a controller. So the first thing you do is you create say const orders is equals to await prisma.order.find many. Now we are using this .order here. Inside this this is the same exact Prisma model that we created. Let's say next time we want to create a model. So we want to create a model. And then we want to create like a product model. We can have something like this. You can have ID, and then it can just be string, and it can be type ID, and then by default it can be something like UUID or CUID depending on what you want. You can have the product name which can be a string, and then you can have the product anything. You can have the price which can be int in cents, right? And price can be in cents, which is small currencies. You can have you can have anything really, like description or destination or anything. Then you can also just go inside here, inside our controllers, and then you can have a different controller, like I said from the start, for that is going to represent the product as well. Yeah, but we're just going to keep the Prisma thing like this. So let's go here. As you can see, you create an order. You say const order ID is equals to here const orders is equals to await prisma.order.find many. Now if you just put this empty object, it will just select everything that is inside your orders. That is just for getting all orders. That is the only thing you need to know. The next thing, like I said, you need to know just the status codes, and that is it. Now internal server error while fetching, this is just like in case you find an error, that's where you have try catch. Obviously we expect an error always, so you gotta just account for it. That is, you can read that on product, like how to design scalable APIs or scalable systems or something like that. Now you can come here and say, oh, getting order by ID. So you need to just get the order from the request body. It's always good. It's good practice to have the request, the ID to be inside your request body rather than it being in the request params, which is the parameters, right? Then you can say const order is equals to await prisma.order.find unique. Now where the ID is the order ID, so you check your order, and then you make sure you find unique, and the only unique one can be using the order ID. Now the order ID is coming from the request body. That's why we are doing it here inside the get by orders by ID. You pass it inside the request body here. So that is basically it for getting orders by ID. The rest of the things is just self-explanatory. Now creating orders is the one that is a little bit tricky. You need to just pass the name, description, the category, depending on what you added inside your schema. You have the name, the description, and the category. You can put the same exact thing here, and then they should be coming from the request body. Obviously you're passing everything inside your request body, and then you have to now check, hey, if there's no name, there's no description, and there's no category, then go ahead and just say, hey, these are required, because you have, obviously you need them. If you don't want them, you can just come here and make this optional. It will give us the same effect, but this you'll not have to check these two. So for now they are required. Let's just leave them like that. Now as you can see here, you say const order because you're creating one order, right? That's why we don't have create orders. You have create order, you're just creating one order at a time. So you can see name, description, category. You can have await prisma.order.create, and then you have to pass the data. You have the name, the description, the category, and then you know what to do here. Just return order created successfully, and the status code is 201. Don't forget that. And then this is just for internal server error. Now updating the order, you can come and say name, description, category, order ID. Obviously you need the order ID in order to update it. So you can either update name, description, or category, and you're not going to update the order ID. Obviously you are just passing the order ID along with the request body, because that order ID is what will be used to determine the ID that you want to update, the specific order that you want to update. As you can see, order routes dot put you have slash order ID. This is coming this is the request param, but you're passing this ID inside your request body. And also the same applies for the delete. You're just deleting a specific order. The specific order is what you're deleting, the specific order is what you're updating, and you are getting the specific order. So everything is handled here. Now you can see we have via IDs the order ID. Obviously the ID is passed, but you're passing it inside your ID, your order ID. Then you have the data that you want to update. You want to update the name, the description, the category. Like I said, this one shows that these are all wanted, right? Required. If you make them as optional in your schema, that means you can make them optional. You cannot pass them here. Now this is update many. You can also have update. That means it will update only one. But here I just wanted to update all of them. That's why I put update many. Now if there's no order, return a status code of 4 order not found, because obviously if there's no order, what are you going to update? That means there's no order of that kind, right? With the ID that you provided. Now here the internal server error will always be consistent between all of them. Now the last one is delete an order. As you can see, we are getting the order ID from the request body one more time, and then here we are just saying prisma.order.delete, where the ID is the same as the order ID, and then the internal server error, like we always explain. So that is basically it for like the internal working architecture of this REST API. If you want to know more, bro, just let me know, man, and I appreciate you for watching, bro. Like and subscribe if you like this straightforward kind of explanation without no fluff. Yeah, I appreciate you for subscribing. We are almost at, like, if I go to my YouTube, let me just refresh, you can see we are at 887. So thank you guys for liking, or whatever you want to do, bro. Go ahead and subscribe or follow me for more. So catch you on the next video, bro.